Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We're going to give everyone just a couple minutes to go ahead and get joined to the Zoom room, and then we'll get started in just a minute. Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining today's webinar. For those who just joined, we're just going to give everyone else just about a minute to join, and we'll get started in just a minute. Great. So thanks for joining everyone for today's webinar. My name is Caitlin Rye, and I am the Graduate Program Advisor for the Master of Science in Data Science program offered by the University of Colorado Boulder. We will be referring to this degree as the MSDS degree for reference. So thank you so much for joining us this morning from wherever you are in the world. We're so excited that you want to learn about the Master of Science in Data Science program and that you are coming from potentially some non-STEM or non-traditional backgrounds. So we will go over how to, the key factors of this degree in addition to ways to prepare as a non-STEM student coming into a Master of Science in Data Science program. So I'll go ahead and introduce our presenters that we have with us. So I'll turn it over to Mika.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for being here. We're really excited you're here. My name is Mika Puzman, and I'm the course coordinator for the MSDS program. So what that means is I work really closely with all the course facilitators in this program to make sure that everything is running smoothly in your courses as you're going through the program. So I'll pass it over to two of our instructors who are joining us today. We've got Jane and Dee.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to see so many of you interested in preparing for this degree. We're just excited to have you with us. I'm the faculty director of our program, and I truly believe that data science is a field that should be accessible to everyone, and that it's really important for people from different backgrounds to get a degree in data science. And so to that end, we have launched some bridging courses that if you have a little bit, some things you need to refresh or some gaps in your background, that you can take those so that you can be confident and do well in the program. I'll turn it over to Dr. Wu to introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to meet you here at a huge party. And I really like you like to know more about data science. And for me, I'm an instructor in the data science program, and I teach Python, and we use Python to learn algorithms, data structures, and we use Python to do data mining and machine learning, all kinds of things. And Python is born because we want to use this as a tool, not just to make it very hard and very scary to the people who are not in computer science or in STEM background. So it will be a great opportunity that you can bring your domain knowledge, and we can provide you with all kinds of tools, and we can make a difference of the world. So welcome, and I look forward to discuss more with you. Thank you.
And with us, we also have two current students who also come from non-STEM or non-traditional backgrounds. So Madison, if you can introduce yourself. You're still on mute, Madison.
Hello, sorry about that, guys. I am Madison. I am currently a student doing the Data Science Masters through Colorado Boulder on Coursera, and I'm almost done, so I've been doing it for about 1.5 years, and prior to this, I was actually a teacher. I taught English to students in Spain and China, so the transition has been really amazing to be able to live and work and be wherever you want to be without having to have all that knowledge from the STEM background and be able to get a master's in data science.
And hello everyone, I'm Alex. So I'm a French I'm a French student, as you can probably guess, and I'm also studying for this master's in data science. And before that, I was a student in a bachelor's in marketing and general English and German studies. So I too don't have a traditional STEM background, but I really think that this program is accessible to everyone, and the prerequisites are not as hard as you could imagine.
Great, thank you so much. So in terms of just getting oriented to this Zoom platform, I just want to let everyone know that we will share the video recording in a few days. So no need to take notes or anything like that. We will send out this recording next week. I also want you to get familiar with two features that we'll be using today. So there's a chat feature and the Q&A feature. So if you want to spend about a couple seconds and type in where you're joining us from today. We always love to see where everyone's joining us from all over the world. And as you can tell from Alex and Madison, we have students all over the world in this program. So we have some Toronto, Phoenix, Chicago, Denver, local, great. Mexico City, Seattle, Dallas, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Ohio, Brazil, Pakistan, Hong Kong, amazing, Nigeria, awesome, Kentucky, Ghana, Texas, great. Well, thank you so much for spending some time. It's always so exciting to see where you're joining us from. So thank you so much for joining us yet again as we talk about ways to prepare for the MS-DS degree without a STEM background. So for the rest of the presentation, we will disable the chat and use that Q&A feature at the bottom. So we'll have about 30 minutes where we'll go over some topics related to the degree and give you some tips and introduce you to some new non-STEM classes. But then we'll also use about 30 minutes for Q&A at the end of the presentation as well. So we do ask that you hold questions to the end because we likely will get to your questions hopefully throughout the presentation, and then we promise that we have about 30 minutes at the end for those Q&A. So we'll go ahead and get started and kind of get jumped into the first agenda point, which is the MS-DS degree overview. And so for that, I'll turn it over to Mika.
Awesome. Thank you, Caitlin. So yes, let's start by talking a little bit about the University of Colorado Boulder, or CU Boulder, as a whole. So CU is a world-class university. We have over 850 visiting international scholars. We're top 3 in the world in education, ranked on educational quality, student training, faculty prestige, faculty research, and that's all according to the academic ranking of world universities from 2018. We are a tier 1 research institution, and we have one of the most entrepreneurial technology corridors in the US. Our faculty has launched over 140 new startups. Our researchers have filed for over 1,000 patents in the last 8 years, and over 500 inventions have been delivered in the past 5. And we count 5 Nobel Prize winners, 5 National Medal of Science winners, and 51 Fulbright Fellows among our graduates. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about what makes the MS-DS program on Coursera here at CU Boulder unique. And there's a lot of different ways. So first, there's no application. So a traditional on-campus graduate program requires a rigorous application process. But what if I were to tell you that our program doesn't have any of that? There's no GRE scores, no TOEFL or IELTS scores, no letters of recommendation, and no application fee. All you have to do is prove that you can do the work, and you'll be admitted into this degree program regardless of your background, which is awesome for those students who are coming from the non-STEM background. So all you have to do is complete a series of 3 courses with a cumulative GPA of 3.0 or higher, which is a B average, and then you'll be admitted as a graduate student at University of Colorado Boulder. Then you're going to complete the 3 courses that I mentioned earlier. What we call that is a pathway specialization. So there's 2 pathway specializations you can choose from. If you're strong in computer science, we recommend the data structures and algorithms pathway. And if you're strong in statistics, we recommend starting with our statistical inference pathway. And if you're not sure that you're ready to start, you can always preview those courses in the non-credit version, which we're going to talk about a little bit more later. And then also for those non-STEM students, we do have what Jane mentioned earlier, those pathway to data science courses, which even give you a preview of the material that you'll need in the pathway specialization courses. So the next thing that makes this program unique is that there are no formal prerequisites for the program. We do recommend that you're familiar with Python, R, calculus, including derivatives and integrals, and linear algebra, specifically working with matrices. And we recommend that you have an intermediate knowledge of all of these topics before starting in those pathway courses, but you can enroll in those non-credit versions to see if your level of knowledge is up to par. And we recognize that everyone has a different background, so you don't have to have a formal education or experience on the job in these topics. But we do expect you to be familiar enough with them that you are able to apply them in a variety of situations or courses. So the next thing that's unique about this program are the courses themselves. In a traditional program, each course you take is usually worth around 3 credit hours. But in this program, our courses are focused into smaller pieces. And we've done that because science shows that it's better to learn small chunks of information more frequently than trying to understand complicated ideas all at once. So each of the courses in this program is only 1 credit hour. And you can expect to spend about 5 to 8 hours per week on each class you're taking. The program is 30 credits total. And so the 3 credits that you earn from your pathway courses do count toward that 30 credit requirement. So that means you've already completed 10% of your courses after you finish the pathway. And even though these courses are shorter, the program still covers all the same material as an on-campus degree. So you're going to gain technical competency in many areas of data science, including statistics, data mining, big data architecture, and machine learning. And you're going to have the opportunity to apply those skills through various electives as well. The next thing that makes this program unique is the time. So in a traditional program, there's normally 3 semesters per year, summer, spring, and fall, and each semester is about 16 weeks long. But in this program, our sessions run 6 times a year, and each session is only 8 weeks long. Most students take 3 classes per term and don't need all 8 weeks to complete a course. It only takes about 4 to 6 weeks to complete a course. But this program is self-paced, so you can go faster or slower than that if you'd like. And if you need a break, you can even take off a term or 2. All you have to do is complete the program, all 30 credits within 8 years. So another thing that makes this program unique is the way you're going to pay for the program. Traditionally, in an on-campus degree, you're going to pay for the entire semester all at once. And that's a really large bill that you have to pay up front. But in this program, you're allowed to pay as you go. And tuition is only $667 per credit hour. So you're going to pay per credit hour, not semester, which allows for maximum flexibility. And we offer multiple payment options. You can pay online with a checking or savings account for no fee. You can pay with a credit or debit card for a small fee, or you can use a wire transfer via Flywire. And you're not going to get access to the course until after we receive your payment and you complete all of the onboarding steps. So you want to make sure to finish the payment and onboarding steps quickly. And give yourself enough time to finish the course before the end of the 8-week session, even if there are some delays. Yet another thing that makes this program unique is what you're going to receive once you graduate. So MSDS students on Coursera receive the same diploma as a residential on-campus student. There's no designations on your transcript or your diploma that say this is an online program. You're going to earn a fully accredited Master of Science in Data Science from the University of Colorado Boulder. And you're invited to attend commencement on campus during your graduation term, if you would like. Additionally, you're going to receive access to Handshake, from CU Boulder Career Services, which is a tool you can use to network with fellow alumni. Employers post jobs on there, and it has weekly virtual employer events. You can also get resume review services from VMOC, and once you graduate, you'll join the Forever Buffs Alumni Association. And finally, the CU Boulder graduate school policies do apply to the MSDS on Coursera students too. Those policies go over things like course repetition, grade replacements, academic standing, and so on. So overall, by reducing the time commitment and the number of credit hours per course, that students can then earn the same rigorous degree without the intense 16-week commitment that traditional programs require. This allows you to have maximum flexibility in regards to your time and your finances. And we've found that that flexibility is especially attractive to working professionals who might not be able to commit to a heavy course load for 4 months at a time. So now I'm going to pass it back over to Caitlin, who's going to talk about the topics that you'll study in this degree.
Great, thank you, Mika. So as Mika said, these are some of the course topics that are offered as part of the MSDS degree. So we have a combination of statistics classes and computer science-based courses, and the courses that give you that hands-on experience and how to apply these data science applications in real-world settings. So there's 21 core credits that give you that strong foundation in data science, whether you're new to the field or whether you're looking to use this degree to bump up into the next stage in your career. But then you can also tailor your degree based on the electives and your interest in those electives. So a couple other things that I just want to point out that are features of this degree are that you're wondering how all this works right now. So all the courses are online on Coursera. If you really just want to learn the content, you can take the non-credit courses there. With a monthly subscription to Coursera, you can watch videos, find readings, and complete labs and assignments. If you'd like to earn credit from CU Boulder, you can upgrade from the non-credit version to the 4-credit version of the course. To do this, you complete the enrollment form online and pay tuition. Then just keep in mind that new students are required to complete a few onboarding steps in order to give them access to all of the resources that are available to them as a CU Boulder student. So these normally consist of taking an onboarding course, as well as setting up their email account, setting up their student account, and doing all of those onboarding steps before gaining access to your 4-credit class. So definitely a lot for an extra 1 to 2 days in order just to complete all of those onboarding steps before you can gain access to those 4-credit classes. So after you complete that onboarding course and all of the onboarding steps, you'll gain access to the final exam or project that's exclusive to the 4-credit version of the class. So students in the 4-credit version of the class also gain additional access to student services, including that CU email address, online library resources, career services, in addition to getting help and assistance through some exclusive communication channels, which consist of weekly office hours with course facilitators, a dedicated support email where you can get questions answered for those 4-credit classes, and a Slack channel where you can interact with your classmates in those classes. So non-credit students could earn a course completion certificate and specialization completion certificates from Coursera. And once you upgrade to that 4-credit version, that's when you gain academic credit from CU Boulder. So keep all of that in mind in terms of all the options that are available to you as you continue to explore this program. So moving right along, this is kind of the whole point of this webinar, right? Is what if I do not have a STEM background? It's a great question. And luckily we have some great people here who can kind of answer those questions and introduce you to some new courses that are in development. But in general, if you do not come from a STEM background, we have a few different options for you. So we did develop some new non-credit classes. So these are classes that will never be offered for credit. These are really just meant to serve you and prepare you for this degree. Whether you have, very limited exposure to programming and some of those math topics, or whether you're a little bit intermediate level, but you want to brush up on some of those skills before just jumping right into a graduate degree. And so we've developed 3 specializations that really are designed to prepare you to enter those pathway courses in order to earn performance-based admission into the degree. So we have an essential math specialization, a Python programming specialization, and an R programming and tidyverse specialization. And in just a little bit, we'll hear from the instructors of those courses with what that content will look like. But those are a really great place to start. If you're unsure if your particular background will allow you to get right into that graduate degree, these classes will help you prepare for some of those key STEM topics to jump right into that degree. The other option is starting in those non-credit version. So as I just mentioned in the last slide, you have an option to do the non-credit or the 4-credit version of the classes. If you don't want to kind of take additional non-STEM classes, but you think you might have, a general intermediate level of programming, but you're just not quite sure if it's aligned with the content that will be found in the program, you can start directly in the pathway courses in the non-credit version. That gives you that maximum flexibility. You're not tied to a specific start or end date when you're in the non-credit version. And then you can upgrade to 4-credit once you're ready and confident that your knowledge and skills align with what's required for you to be successful in the program. So there's definitely a few different options for you. I also just want to point out a couple different factors that if you're coming from a non-STEM background, we have MSDS students come from over 100 backgrounds, whether that's an academic undergraduate major or the industry that they're in. So if you're coming from a non-STEM background, you are not alone. We have several students, as you'll hear in just a little bit from Madison and Alex, that there are students who have varying levels of exposure to some of these prereq knowledge. And you guys are self-learners, you're self-starters. And so there's not that requirement to have that formal education or training, but we do want you to have that experience level to be prepared to take those pathway courses and be successful in the program. So here's just a quick word graph of some of the top undergraduate and graduate majors that our students come from. So yes, there are definitely some STEM areas in this, but we also have students come from liberal arts backgrounds or business backgrounds, or we have a lot of biology, chemistry, research type backgrounds. So these are the top backgrounds, but keep in mind that we have students from over 100 different majors. So, this consists of geography and English and kind of everything in between. If we're moving right out along too, these are the industries and the job titles that our students come from. So they're coming, in with a background where it is some have data science and engineer and analyst positions, but we also have students who come from research or teaching or education, some kind of liberal arts background. So I just wanted to point this out, that if you're coming from a non-STEM background, you will have other students in the program that will also be coming from non-STEM backgrounds. We have students from a variety of different industries, and I know that one graph is very small, but it does have some of the industries that students are in. So a lot of them are in kind of the technical scientific industry, but then you see kind of the overall industries that students are in, whether that's agricultural or information, finance, healthcare, education. So there's quite a lot of students from a variety of backgrounds. Great. So I'm going to turn it over to Jane now, and she's going to introduce her 2 specializations that, once keep in mind, were designed to prepare you for this degree if you have limited exposure to these topics. So Jane, if you want to introduce your essential math specialization.
Thanks, Caitlin. So we developed the essential math specialization, and Dr. Bird and I, James Bird and I, put this together. So you'll see both of us in this course, this set of courses. It's 3 courses where we start with a review of algebra, but you do need some basic algebra skills, or you might feel a little overwhelmed because it's like sort of like drinking from a fire hose if you've never seen this stuff before. But we're assuming you've seen some algebra and need to refresh it. So we'll start with a review of algebra, and then we do simple calculus. And it's more giving you the idea of what a derivative is and an understanding of what that is, computing simple derivatives. We do simple integrals and the concept of what an integral means, so you don't freak out when you see it in your later courses. We also do a lot of work that James mostly covers with linear systems, matrices, even a singular value decomposition. If you don't know what that is, it's okay. That's why you need the course. And so we even cover a little bit of logarithms and exponent. We also get into a little intro to numerical analysis, just sort of the concepts of that, how to do some simple problems there so that you understand the idea of trade-offs, of whether something's going to always work, but it's going to be slow, or it's going to work most of the time, but it's going to be really fast. Because all of those skills are things that you will need in future data science courses to at least have a basic understanding of. So I would suggest this course or this set of courses, this specialization, is a good choice for someone who hasn't had math in a while, wants to brush it up, or if you've never had calculus or linear algebra, then this would be the set of courses that you would want to take before you start either of our pathway specializations that are part of our degree. Okay, so that's the math sequence, and that's pretty much for anybody wanting to do the degree that's not real confident in their math skills. So this will help you as you get into either of those specializations. Now, our programming is an introduction to programming using the R programming language. And so your R programming language will be important in the data science field course and in your statistics courses and some of your application area courses. We feel it's important for all our data scientists to be fluent in both R and Python. So depending on which specialization, pathway specialization, you want to start your degree with, you would either start with the R programming in tidyverse if you're going to start with statistics stuff, or start with the Python if you're going to start with data structures and algorithms. So you will initially need both of them, but you could start with one or the other and go through that pathway specialization, and along the way then pick up the second programming language, okay, before you take the courses that depend on that. We cover tidyverse, which is a subset of functions that are already there available for you in R, because it makes it so easy to manipulate the data with things that are more English-like, less computerized, if you will, than coding it from the basics. So we'll cover that. We'll do some visualization using ggplot. You will use Markdown to communicate your results, to learn to develop reports that include the code inside of the report, which is a very powerful tool. So again, I suggest if you want to start with the statistics specialization and you don't know any R, that you take this specialization first before you get into that. If you're going to start with the data structures and algorithms, you'll start with Dee's Python stuff, and I'll let Dee talk about that now.
Thank you, Jen. And so this is my Expressway to Data Science Python programming course, and it has 3 different sub-courses. The first one is to teach you the fundamental of Python programming. Basically, in that class, I'm going to talk about the basic print, basic input, how we get data from user, how to display the message on the screen. And you are going to learn the very fundamentals, such as the variables, operations, and flow control, like the branching and repetition. So if you have already have any programming language experience such as C++ or Java, if you heard of them, and don't be scared because Python is much, much more easier than them. So just a side information, my background, I had a bachelor degree in economics. I had my first master in business administration. So I have exactly the same experience you may have, go from a non-STEM background to a computer science background. So I know exactly how it will feel when people talk about object-oriented programming, but I have no idea what it is. So in this Expressway, I prepared in specifically for the people who, like me, go from a non-STEM background. So if you did ski in the past, you will know what is the bunny hill is. Basically, we are going to guide you through those baby steps, make sure you feel comfortable and safe. Then we can move on to my second class, which is Introduction to Python Functions. That class basically will teach you and will lead you through how we can use all the built-in functionalities in Python. Because most of the time, you don't have to design a new feature. You don't have to design a new tool. All you need is just to call and use them. So in this particular subclass, you are going to learn how to call, how to rely on those predefined, very powerful functions. And the last class, the third one, is actually to introduce you the basic packages for data science in specific, such as NumPy to deal with n-dimensional arrays, such as pandas to deal with tabular data, such as Matplotlib and Seaborn to deal with data visualization, so we can communicate more effectively. And all the three classes will teach you Jupyter Notebook environment as well, which is different than Java and C++ and other programming languages as well. Because Jupyter Notebook provides an environment, you can see the introduction, see the texture, see the documentation, as long as you can see the running code and outcome at the same environment. So Python has its unique way of dealing with specific needs. Jupyter Notebook is an interactive Python environment. You can see the code, see the output, see the documentation at the same time. And Python has another version, is the script, which will belong to the software developers to do the traditional .py files, etc. But you don't have to worry about that part, because I know those script programming lines and programs basically are really complex. So all the three classes will, as I said, will guide you through a bunny hill, baby steps to how to use the tools existing and to the packages of all the awesome functions we can use for data science. And we believe that the learning should be fun and joyful, not overwhelming and frustrating. So you will experience from this non-credited version, Expressway to data science, Python programming, and you will not be scared, I can promise, because I was scared by C++, but when I learned Python, wow, that is a good relief. So I look forward to meet you in the class, and if you have any question, you can reach out to us, and I'm happy to help. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So now I'm going to turn it over to our two students who, like they've introduced themselves before, they come from this non-STEM background. So they're going to provide some tips in how they prepared for the MSDS degree and how they have found the courses and curriculum to be coming from that non-STEM background. So I'll turn it over to Madison and Alex, and they can kind of give some extra tips before we get right into that Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you, Caitlin. So I'm Madison again. So as we've been saying, we haven't come from a STEM background. So I actually graduated from university 10 years ago with a degree in psychology, and I've been working in odd jobs here and there in the last couple of years teaching. So I have not been doing anything data science related. So when I started to do the master's, I started about 2-3 months before I actually started the master's with Colorado, looking at programming, like learning how to program a little bit and catching up again on maths such as calculus, especially derivatives. So I have 3 tips, maybe 4, that I would suggest to do if you're hopefully kind of do the master's with us. First, do these Expressway courses that they just talked about. I didn't have those when I started. So hearing about them just now sounds like a very good thing to do, especially if you need to catch up on your math or learn a little bit of programming before you start the master's. Also, another good tip is when you first start the master's, do 1, maybe 2 courses at a time. I know I was a little overwhelmed at first when I thought I had to do 3 courses at once. But I would really suggest to do 1 course to start out, maybe 2 if you're feeling comfortable, and then do more classes per session as you feel more comfortable. Another suggestion would be to get involved with Slack. I think Alex might talk about that a little bit more. That is really important. There's a great community to talk with other students who are in the same classes as you. And my last tip would be to re-watch the videos. One of the best things about this program is you have the videos to re-watch to make sure you understand before you do assignments or projects. So being able to go back and make sure you understand the material is really important. So with that, I will pass it over to Alex.
Thank you, Matey. So as I said earlier, I have a BA in marketing and a minor in English and German language. So I had never really done any kind of mathematics before, and certainly no programming. So I made sure to get the correct prerequisite. So I first started with learning Python because it seemed to be the easiest language to learn. And what I would really recommend to you is to really leverage all of the online resources. So if you go on YouTube and you type, for instance, Python tutorial, you're going to have 1,000 tutorials on end-to-end project, or even just the basic definition of what is a for loop, a conditional statement, and so on. So I would really encourage you to look over those tutorials, as well as looking at some data science related blogs. So for instance, Towards Data Science is a great blog where people are explaining really tough statistics concepts in an easy to understand manner. I would also encourage you to look at the StatsQuest YouTube channel, which really breaks down every statistics you're ever going to need in data science. And for the math courses, as Matthew said, it's really important to understand what is an integral and a derivative, because you are going to use them quite a bit, especially in the stats class. But for the programming pathway, I think that if you have a really solid understanding of Python and the general idea behind the data structures and the algorithm, you're going to do fine. So what I did before to make sure I had every prerequisite was that I just watched the courses once with while I taking them as a non-credit. So I just walked through the exercise on my own terms. I really took my time. I really made sure I understood really everything perfectly. And then I decided to enroll in the courses and take them for credit. And once you decide to enroll them, to enroll in the course, you have access to the Slack channel, as Matey mentioned. So this is where every student from this master's is exchanging ideas and tips, and also problems regarding some homeworks or assignment. So chances are, if you have a question regarding a particular assignment, or if you don't understand a concept in statistics or in data structures, you're probably going to be able to find the answer in the Slack channel as well. So yeah, I think these are my tips, but you're going to see it may be daunting at first, but you can get a good level with the prerequisite from the Coursera courses that Dr. Wall is going to, and Dr. Wall has presented. So hang in there, you can do it.
Great, thank you so much. So just one quick note before we get into the Q&A. The Fall 1 session is running now. So courses started just about a month ago, and they have just about a month left to go. There is an upcoming session after this. It is the Fall 2 session, and enrollment opens on Monday, October 3rd for classes that start in mid-October. So if you don't want to just start in the middle of the session, you can wait until Fall 2. But you are also welcome to start in those non-credit version of the classes, whether it's those Expressway to Data Science classes that were introduced by Jane and Dee, or you can start in the pathway courses for the performance-based admission in the non-credit version as well. and then upgrade once you're ready. So we'll go ahead and get started into the Q&A feature now. I've noticed some students have been using that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, but this is where we'll be using what we'll be using for the question and answer sessions. We have just about 20 minutes. So if you have any particular questions for any of the panelists here, feel free to ask away and we will go ahead and get started. Okay, great. So we have a question about full-time versus part-time student status. So someone wants to know if they'll be officially full-time students in this degree program. And the answer to that, I can take that answer, is it really depends on how many credits you take in terms of what the university considers you part-time versus full-time students. Keep in mind that any of the items that might be qualified for full-time student status, like a student visa, for example, we don't have as part of this program because this is an online program. But you would be considered a full-time student if you take 5 credits in a semester. And we have 2 sessions per semester. So that's kind of what that full-time status is officially designated as. But keep in mind that you will expect to spend about 5 to 8 hours per week on each credit or class that you take. So make sure that you can also handle that workload if you have other obligations or work or anything else. Make sure you can balance that out as well.
I see a few questions in here that are all sort of related to the general topic of non-credit enrolling into for credit and what that payment process looks like and all of that. So I'm going to kind of give a broad overview of how that works and hopefully answer a good chunk of those questions all at once. So if you have not taken any courses yet, you can start in the non-credit version. And what that means is you'll be paying a monthly subscription fee to Coursera, and you'll have access to the non-credit version of the course. When we say non-credit, that means pretty much all the course material except the final exam. So keep in mind that once you've finished the non-credit version, you will still have to upgrade to for credit and take that final exam in order to have completed the course for CU Boulder credit. So once you've paid for one course in the for credit version, which you do by going to our data science website and you'll enroll in a session. So Caitlin had talked about the enrollment periods a little bit earlier, but you can see the whole calendar on our website and you can see what the start and end dates for those 8-week sessions are, all of that. So you'll go to the website, you'll enroll in a course, you'll go through the onboarding process the first time you take a course for credit. Make sure you do the onboarding course and link your accounts and all of that extra steps that you'll need to do. And then you'll get access to the for credit material, which again includes that final exam and any other material that is specifically for credit and not in the non-credit version. Then you'll have time to go ahead and complete the rest of the course, take that final exam, and get a grade for the course. So that's generally how it works. And then the other great thing is that once you become a CU Boulder student, once you've enrolled in one for credit course, you no longer have to pay the CU or the Coursera subscription fee. So all of the rest of the data science program courses are on CU on Coursera for free. So you can take the rest of the courses non-credit at your leisure, however you'd like with your schedule, and you no longer have to pay that Coursera subscription fee. So that's a really great perk to once you become a CU Boulder student and are taking courses for credit. You can continue to take them non-credit and upgrade to for credit, and you no longer have that extra subscription fee.
Great. So I have a question that should be directed to Jane, or even if Madison or Alex have any insight into this, this would be great. So someone has no math background at all. So would you recommend that they start in the Expressway to Data Science math course, or would you even recommend them to take a more basic algebra or calculus course first? Would you be able to start this course with no math background in recent memory, but they have Python and R?
So I'm going to say that depends. I don't believe you have no math background, right? I mean, you know arithmetic, you solve a basic equation. So it just depends on where your math skills are. right? If you've had like high school algebra, if you've had, say, through what we in the US consider like Algebra 2, then you're okay to go ahead and start the math courses as part of the Expressway to data science. If you haven't had like basic algebra, then you will need to find an online program that will give you the basic algebra skills, because otherwise you will be a little bit overwhelmed. It goes pretty fast through the algebra review. So I hope that answers your question. If it does, please post a follow-up in the Q&A.
And also to build on what you just said, on YouTube, as I've mentioned earlier, there are quite some good YouTube channels that will help you build those prerequisite math skills. So can I post some links in the chat?
Yep.
So if you go to this channel, this is everything relating to statistics. So it goes over the simple dependent probabilities, as well as some really advanced stuff like how neural networks work, how PCA works, etc. And if you want a good refresher on Calculus 1 and 2, or even algebra, I really recommend the Free Code Camp YouTube channel as well. It really goes into great detail on what are the tools used, how really you can understand what is a derivative and integral and so on.
I'll add to his list of YouTube videos if I can, if that's okay. There's one more that helped me a lot with the algorithms class when I got stuck on a lot of algorithms. He explains the concepts really, really basically in another way that the teacher explains, who also explains really well too. But sometimes having more than one way of explanation is helpful. So that's another really good link as well too.
Great, thank you. So I see a lot of questions coming in about financing, funding, scholarships, all of that. So we have a few questions about scholarships and if we offer them for international students or not. This program does not offer scholarships. Several of our students receive some type of employer tuition assistance from their employer. And so we can provide any tuition receipts or any documentation you might need if your employer were to sponsor you or help pay through a reimbursement process, but we do not offer scholarships for this program. However, we have been able to keep tuition costs relatively low. The tuition cost is $667 per credit hour, which is just about $20,000 for the entire degree. And so we're able to kind of keep that cost low for that regard. And I know that there was another question on if tuition rates are locked in. They're not necessarily locked in. However, we have not increased our tuition yet. And we have a similar program, the Master of Science in Electrical Engineering, that's been launched since 2019. And they've also not raised their tuition prices at all either. So we do not anticipate having to raise tuition costs anytime soon or really in the future. So keep that in mind as well. In addition, there's another question about a teacher assistantship or any other kind of financial aid that might be available in that way. We also do not offer TA, RA, or GA positions to fund this degree, but we do have some part-time hourly jobs that you could apply for in addition to being or the course facilitator position, which Madison works as a course facilitator for the program. That is usually reserved for those who've already excelled and done well in the courses that they course facilitate for. No, so not something that would be available the first term in the program, but something that could be available a little bit later on. So I think those are all of the funding questions. We also had, we had one more question about what the cost is for the Expressway to data science specialization. For that, you would just use that Coursera Plus subscription, which is the $49 monthly fee to Coursera, because these courses are only available in the non-credit version and really just designed to prepare you for the degree. So you don't earn academic credit for those Expressway to data science specialization or courses. You would just work to pay that Coursera monthly fee to give you that extra kind of step up once you start the program.
So I'd like to jump in and answer one of the questions about if you fail the Expressway course the first time through. So there's no penalty. You can redo quizzes, you can redo any portions of that you want to do. These courses, the Expressway courses, are for your benefit in learning. It's not for getting a grade, it's not for being admitted to the program. It's to help you learn the background you need to be successful in the specialization pathways. Okay, so don't worry too much about the grade in those courses, the Expressway courses. Just focus on learning that material so you can be successful when you sign up for your first pathway specialization course. Now, in those courses, there will be material that you can retake multiple times, but final assessments, I don't believe you're currently allowed to retake too many times. And I'll pass that over to Caitlin to talk about what the current policy is on those. But on the Expressway stuff, you shouldn't worry about it.
Great. So we have kind of two additional questions that I think would be great for the panelists themselves to answer. So this is a really great one. What pieces of advice would you give to yourself knowing what you do know now if you were able to have a conversation with your younger self when you first became interested in data science?
So I'll go first. I think that really the one big piece of advice I would give myself, a younger self really, is to just make sure you understand the general theory behind what you're studying, and only once you understand really well the basics, then you can go into deeper details. Because it happens really quite a lot with me where there's something that I want to learn and I go straight to the most complicated answer, and I don't really try to just pause and think to myself, well, what does this mean? So like, what is an integral? What is a conditional probability? Like, how does this particular algorithm works? And I think really the most important aspect is just make sure you understand. Take your time. If you understand something in 5 minutes, that's great. If you need 1 week, that's also great. You really are not pressed for time with these masters. So just make sure you really understand the basics really well.
I would agree with Alex with that. I would also add that if you are stuck, especially on programming, to go take a nap or wait until the next day and try again the next day. I don't know why, but it's my biggest tip. I have woken up many times in the middle of the night thinking, oh, I know the answer. And I like run downstairs and type it in and it works. So I don't know why that works, but it works. So that's what I would recommend.
Yeah, I want to add a little bit of piece to that as well. So as a non-STEM or non-STEM students, don't feel that you have a disadvantage. Because in our data science program, we need 3 major things. The first one is math, statistics, which you are going to get from the pathway. The second is programming language. You're going to learn R and Python. And the last piece, which many STEM students do not have, is the domain knowledge you have. I'm so appreciate. I want to say to the younger myself, don't be afraid if you transfer from business administration to computer science. If you had a bachelor degree in economics and you feel you have nothing, you don't know anything about computer programming, don't be shy. Don't feel like, oh, I had a bad start point, because you have the domain knowledge. You know what those tools can be used for. You know the business driven, what is the interest, what is the benefit. You know everything beyond of the tools. So that is actually something you should be proud of, and you already have them now. So that is a good thing for you, not a disadvantage, but actually an advantage. So I'm going to say that to me, and now I can say that to you.
Great, thank you. We also have another great question for all of the panelists. So for someone, well, I guess these are mostly for Madison and Alex, what is kind of your day, your average week look like, you know, as a student and as, you know, balancing all of your other commitments? So, specifically, if you could talk a little bit more on like the flexibility and like the format of the classes and how you balance that and what your typical day, week, etc. looks like as a student.
I guess I can go first if you want, Alex. So when I first started, it hasn't really changed much from when I first started to now. The only thing that's really changed is that I've started working with internships after the first year of my master's, which wouldn't have happened had I not been in the master's. So that was really amazing. Before that, I was just waking up and studying, watching the videos. I was doing about 2 to 3 classes per session. And for just starting, that was a lot for me. And I was taking all my time and I was working part-time. I was fortunate enough to have a partner that would support me on that. So, and then now I'm working more hours and also studying 3 classes at once. Day to day, I study maybe 6 to 7, maybe 5 to 6 hours a day. And then I work about 4 or 5 hours a day. And then the rest of the day I go and live my life and whatnot. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, and also for me, I'm a full-time master's student, so I don't work and I just do the masters. And what I found really, I think that works the best is that you need to systematize everything you're doing. So let's say you can only work like 4 hours a day. Well, you're going to work 4 hours a day, but every day you're going to start like at 8 a.m. and from 8 to 10 you're going to watch the lectures. Then from 10 to 11 you're working on an assignment, and you really have to try to find some sort of algorithm to really optimize the time you're putting in. So for instance, I found that what works best for me is to work late in the night, because this is where no one is good, no one's bothering me. I don't know why. For me, it works like that. So just every night, but at the exact same time, I'm starting on a math class. Then I do a computer science class, and I really think that this is the most crucial aspect, is really to systematize everything.
I would add to that it's important for you guys to not get too far behind in your classes, right? You need to plan plenty of time in case you run into questions or problems on your final project or your exam. Or a lot of times when I'm coding, it's like what Madison was saying, you get stuck somewhere and you need to either reach out to a colleague and say, hey, what did you think about this? Or give your brain time to process it, right? So if you put things off until the very end of the session, then one, you're stressed out and your brain doesn't work as well. And you run the chance that you're going to run out of time in the session and you don't have that problem solved. Whereas if you do it, everything as quickly up front as you can, that builds in time for you to get stuck and for your brain to process it overnight. I'm like Madison, I used to wake up in the middle of the night with solutions to whatever problem I was working on, right? I kept a whiteboard by my bed so I could write down the answer if I woke up in the middle of the night with the answer. So just give yourself time, build in time into your schedule.
If I may, the beauty of this program is that we can start each class non-credit and allow yourself that time that you need, because everyone learns differently at different rates. So you can allow yourself with the non-credit version, and when you're ready, you can sign up for the 4 credit. So what I've often done is I do maybe 75% of a class or more up until the final assignment, and I do that all non-credit. And when I'm ready to do the final, I sign up and I pay for the 4 credit, knowing that I've already finished everything and I can complete it on time.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm not sure we were clear, but all the work you do in the non-credit space, all the quizzes or assignments, all those grades transfer over to the 4 credits. You don't have to redo any of that. Okay, so.
We also have a couple of questions in here sort of relating to that about what the schedule is like for upgrading to 4 credit. So I wanted to clarify that a little bit as well. You can start in a non-credit course anytime you like. Doesn't matter. You can start whenever you'd like. And those courses will give you approximate deadlines, and you can roll those deadlines back like Madison and Jane are talking about to give yourself as much time as you'd like. However, when you upgrade to 4 credit, you are stuck to an 8-week schedule. And that's not 8 weeks from when you upgrade, it's 8 weeks that we build out. So this current session, fall 1 that we are in, started in August and it's going to end October 14th. Those are the 8 weeks. And then the next 8-week session starts, I believe, October 17th, whatever that Monday is, right after the 14th. And then there's 8 weeks from that. So you do want to pay attention to the calendar on the MSDS website and make sure that when you upgrade to 4 credit, you have enough time before that final date to finish the rest of the course material that you have. Because at that point, you can't roll back the deadlines. You can't just move into the next session. You are paying to complete that course at the end of that 8-week deadline. So hopefully that helps clear that up a little bit. And then also there is no thesis for this program. It's all coursework related. So you won't have to complete any sort of master's thesis when you're done with this program or to finish this program.
Great, and that brings us to time. We're at 10 a.m. here Mountain Time. So thank you everyone for joining us this morning. I did put our email address in the chat. So if you do have any follow-up questions or questions we weren't able to get to, please email us at datascience@colorado.edu, and we'll make sure to follow up with any questions that we weren't able to get to today. And we will also send around this recording. And in the post-webinar messaging, we'll also put links to the Expressway to Data Science classes and some of the other links that our panelists have provided. So keep an eye out for that next week. But if you have questions in the meantime, reach out and we hope to see you in class soon. So see you, everyone.